Captain Vextari stood on the bridge of the Starlight Wanderer, watching the blue and green planet grow larger on the main screen. His 6 arms moved quickly across the control panels as he checked the readings for the 3rd time. The numbers had to be wrong, they just had to be. "Run the scans again," he told his crew. His voice carried the authority of someone who had explored over 200 worlds in his 40-year career. Chief Science Officer Kylanara looked up from her station. Her large purple eyes showed confusion as she spoke. "Captain, I have run the scans 5 times. The results are always the same. This planet should not have any life on it at all." Vextari moved closer to look at the data. The Zephyrians were a tall, thin species with pale blue skin and 4 arms. They came from a world called Zephyr Prime, where the gravity was light. The weather was always mild, and nothing dangerous ever happened. Their home planet had no earthquakes, no storms, and no wild animals. It was perfect for a peaceful species that valued knowledge and art above all else, but this planet was different. Very different. "Look at these oxygen levels," Kylanara said, pointing at the screen. 21%. That is enough to cause fires to burn out of control. No intelligent species could survive breathing that much oxygen. "Communications officer." Pextor joined them at the science station. His thin fingers danced over the controls as he pulled up more data. "The gravity is also too strong. It is almost 10 times what we are used to. Any creature living there would be crushed under its own weight." "And the weather patterns," added Navigation Officer Taimara from her station. "The temperature changes are extreme. It goes from freezing to boiling in different parts of the planet. There are massive storms that move across the surface with winds strong enough to destroy buildings." Vextari studied the readings with growing concern. In his 4 decades of exploration, he had seen many dangerous worlds. The Galactic Council had a classification system for planets based on how deadly they were to most known species. This world was clearly a Class 7 Deathworld, one of the most dangerous types of planets in the galaxy. "But Captain," Kylanara said softly, "the deep scans show something impossible. There are cities down there. Big cities with millions of life forms living in them. They have roads and buildings and what looks like a space program." Vextari felt his blood run cold. In all his years of exploration, he had never found intelligent life on a Class 7 Deathworld. Most species barely survived on Class 3 worlds, and even then they lived underground or in protective domes. But the scans showed beings living openly on the surface of this nightmare planet. "Maybe they are prisoners," suggested Pextor. "Perhaps another species is forcing them to live on this world as punishment." "Or maybe they are refugees," added Taimara. "They could be hiding from something even worse." Vextari considered both possibilities. It would make sense. What kind of species would choose to live on a planet that could kill them in 100 different ways? The atmospheric readings showed that the air itself was poisonous to most known life forms. The surface was covered with water so deep that it could drown entire cities. The planet's core was so active that the ground itself moved and shook regularly. "Captain," Kylanara said, interrupting his thoughts, "we are receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it through," Vextari ordered. The main screen flickered and showed the face of a strange creature. It had pale skin, small eyes, and a mouth that seemed to be curved upward in what looked like a threat display, but the creature's voice was calm and friendly. "Hello, visitors from space. My name is Lisa Carter. I am an ambassador for the United Nations of Earth. We welcome you to our solar system and hope you come in peace." The bridge fell silent. The creature had called itself human and had called this death world Earth. It spoke as if it actually lived on the planet's surface, not as a prisoner or refugee, but as if it belonged there. We greet you," Vextari managed to say. "I am Captain Vextari of the Galactic Exploration Service. We are here to study your world and learn about your species." The human's mouth curved even more, showing what appeared to be white bone-like structures. Vextari had seen similar displays in predatory species and felt a shiver run down his spine. "That's wonderful," Lisa Carter said. "We would love to meet you in person." Would you like to visit our planet? We have prepared a special facility where you can stay while you learn about Earth and humanity. Visit the planet? Vextari looked around at his crew. They all stared back at him with expressions of shock and terror. Visit a Class 7 Deathworld? The very idea was insane. But the humans spoke as if it were a normal thing to do. That is very kind of you, Vextari said carefully. But we would need to know more about the conditions on your world. Our species requires very specific environmental conditions to survive. Of course, Lisa Carter said. We have been studying your ship and have some ideas about what you might need. Our scientists are very excited to meet you. Dr. Kevin Brooks has been working on atmospheric processors that should keep you comfortable during your visit. Atmospheric processors? Vextari felt his heart racing. These humans were not only living on a death world, but they had technology to modify environments. This was either very good news or very bad news. Dr. Brooks is our leading expert on alien biology, Lisa Carter continued. Well, theoretical alien biology, since you are our first contact with another species? He has been dreaming about this day his whole life. Another human appeared on the screen next to Lisa Carter. This one was taller and had darker skin and less fur on the top of its head. It showed the same threatening mouth display as the first human. Hello, aliens, Dr. Kevin Brooks said. I cannot wait to meet you. We have so many questions about your species and your homeworld, and I am sure you have questions about us too. Yes, Vextari said weakly, we have many questions. Great. Dr. Brooks said, our facility is located in what we call Colorado. It is a mountainous region with clean air and beautiful scenery. The elevation is only about 1,500 meters above sea level, so the air pressure should not be too different from what you are used to. 1,500 meters above sea level? Vextari felt faint. On Zephyr Prime, the highest point was only 50 meters above sea level. The air pressure at 1,500 meters would crush their lungs. The weather has been perfect lately, Lisa Carter added. Sunny skies, temperatures around 22 degrees Celsius, with just a light breeze. It should be very pleasant for your visit. 22 degrees Celsius? That was hot enough to cook most Zephyrarian food? And these humans lived in such temperatures and called it pleasant. We will need to discuss this with our crew, Vextari said, and prepare our equipment for the unique conditions on your world. Of course, Lisa Carter said. Take all the time you need. We will be here when you are ready. Earth is not going anywhere. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Vextari looked at his crew and saw his own fears reflected in their faces. They had come expecting to find a dead world or maybe some simple life forms hiding in caves. Instead, they had found a species that not only survived on a Class 7 death world but seemed to thrive on it. Captain, Kalanara whispered, what do we do now? Vextari looked back at the blue and green planet on the screen. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were living their daily lives on what should have been an uninhabitable world. The scientific discovery alone would change everything. The galaxy thought it knew about life and survival. We go down, he said finally. We have to see this for ourselves. But first, we prepare for the most dangerous mission any of us has ever attempted. The crew began preparations for what they all believed might be their final mission. None of them could imagine that they were about to discover the most remarkable species in the galaxy. 3 days later, the Zephyrian shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere like a metal leaf falling through acid. Captain Vextari gripped his command chair as the ship shook and rattled around them. The atmospheric entry was much rougher than anything they had experienced on other worlds. The air is so thick, Pilot Officer Nixtor reported through gritted teeth. It feels like we are flying through liquid. That is because their atmosphere is poison, Science Officer Kylanara said from her station. She was sealed inside a full environmental suit that looked like a walking tank. The oxygen content alone could kill us in minutes. The shuttle finally touched down at the human facility in Colorado. Through the small windows, they could see humans walking around outside without any protection at all. The aliens watched in horror as the humans breathed the deadly air and moved easily under the crushing gravity. Remember, Vextari told his small crew, we are here for science. No matter how terrible this world seems, we must learn everything we can about these humans. Dr. Kylanara nodded inside her suit. Cultural analyst Pextor checked his recording equipment one more time. They were the bravest scientists in the Zephyrian fleet, but even they were scared. The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Immediately, warning alarms began beeping inside their suits. The computers detected deadly levels of oxygen, dangerous atmospheric pressure, and radiation from the star above that would burn their skin in minutes. "Welcome to Earth," said a cheerful voice. Dr. Amy Johnson stood waiting for them at the bottom of the shuttle ramp. She was a human female with brown hair and bright eyes. She wore only thin clothing that would not protect her from anything. Behind her stood Professor Rick Martinez, a human male with dark skin and a wide smile. "We are so excited to meet you," Dr. Johnson said. "This is the most important day in human history." The aliens walked carefully down the ramp, their heavy suits making loud noises with each step. They moved slowly, afraid that any sudden movement might damage their life support systems. "Your suits look very advanced," Professor Martinez said. "Are they uncomfortable?" "We have prepared a special building where you can relax and breathe easily." "These suits are the only thing keeping us alive," Pextor said through his suit's speaker. "Your atmosphere would kill us in seconds." Dr. Johnson and Professor Martinez looked at each other with surprise. They had not realized how dangerous Earth was to the aliens. "Oh, we are so sorry," Dr. Johnson said. "We did not know. Please, come inside quickly. We have air conditioning to keep you cool." The humans led them toward a large building. As they walked, Dr. Johnson pointed to different things around the facility. "Those are the Rocky Mountains," she said, pointing to enormous stone formations that rose into the sky. "They are about 4,000 meters high. We love to climb them on weekends." Inside his suit, Vextari felt sick. The humans climbed mountains that were 80 times higher than anything on Zephyr Prime, for fun. "And that is Lake Colorado," Professor Martinez added, pointing to a body of water. "It is perfect for swimming and fishing. The water is only about 15 degrees Celsius right now, but it warms up nicely in summer." Kylanara made a choking sound. Water at 15 degrees would freeze a Zephyrian solid in minutes. They entered the building, and the humans showed them to a specially prepared room. The walls were covered with cooling units that hummed loudly. Screens showed the atmospheric conditions inside the room. "We have reduced the oxygen to what we think you can handle," Dr. Johnson explained. "And we have increased the atmospheric pressure to match your homeworld. It should be safe for you to remove your suits." The aliens looked at the readings. The oxygen was still 3 times higher than what they were used to, and the pressure was still too low, but it was better than outside. "We also prepared some food for you," Professor Martinez said. He showed them a table with strange items on it. "We studied your ship's emissions and tried to guess what you might eat." Dr. Johnson picked up a glass container filled with clear liquid. "This is water. We thought you might be thirsty after your long journey." The aliens stared at the container in horror. Water was one of the most dangerous substances in the galaxy. It could dissolve metal and destroy most known materials. On Zephyr Prime, water only existed in tiny amounts and was handled with extreme care. "You want us to drink that?" Kylanara asked. "Well, yes," Dr. Johnson said. "Do you not drink water?" "On your world, water is a powerful acid," Pextor explained. "It would burn through our bodies." The humans looked confused. Professor Martinez picked up the glass and took a large drink of the water. The aliens gasped in shock. "It is safe," he said. "Look, I drink it all the time. Humans need water to live. We drink about 8 glasses of this every day." The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. These humans were drinking acid and calling it necessary for life. "Perhaps you would like some coffee instead," Dr. Johnson suggested. She pointed to another container that held a dark liquid. Steam rose from the surface. "It is very popular on Earth." "What is coffee?" Vextari asked. It is water that we heat. Until it almost boils, Professor Martinez explained. Then we pour it over ground plant matter and drink the mixture. It tastes wonderful and gives us energy. The aliens stared in shocked silence. The humans were drinking boiling acid mixed with plant matter. And they did this for pleasure. We also have some bread, Dr. Johnson said, holding up a brown object. It is made from wheat that we grow in our fields. We heat it in ovens until it is ready to eat. You grow plants in this poisonous environment? Kailanara asked. Of course, Professor Martinez said. We grow all kinds of plants. Wheat, corn, vegetables, fruits. Earth is perfect for growing food. Perfect for growing food. The aliens could not understand how anything could grow on this death world, much less be called perfect. The weather has been really nice lately, Dr. Johnson said, trying to make conversation. Yesterday it was 28 degrees and sunny. Tomorrow it might rain, but that will be good for the plants. Rain? Pextor asked. Yes, water falls from the sky. Professor Martinez explained. It happens regularly. Sometimes we get thunderstorms with lightning and strong winds. Those are exciting. The aliens looked at each other in terror. Water falling from the sky was something that happened in their worst nightmares. And these humans called it exciting. We should check your air conditioning system, Dr. Johnson said. It sounds like it is working too hard. She was right. The cooling units were making loud noises and some of them were smoking. The Earth atmosphere was too thick for the alien technology to handle properly. Do not worry, Professor Martinez said. We have human engineers who can fix it. They work on equipment in much worse conditions than this. Worse conditions? What could be worse then? This, as if reading their thoughts, Dr. Johnson smiled. Some of our engineers work underwater or in the desert or even in space. They are used to challenging environments. The aliens watched as human workers entered their safe room. The humans wore only light clothing and breathed the poisonous air like it was normal. They worked quickly and efficiently, fixing the alien equipment with tools that should not have worked in Earth's harsh conditions. There you go, one of the workers said. That should keep you comfortable. The problem was that your machines were not designed for our thick air. We added some filters to help them work better. The aliens thanked the humans, but they were becoming more frightened by the minute. Every act of kindness from the humans revealed something new and terrible about Earth. We have planned some activities for tomorrow, Dr. Johnson said. We thought you might like to see more of our world. We could visit the mountains or the forest or maybe the ocean. Mountains, forests, and oceans. Each one was a different way to die on this horrible planet. But the humans spoke about them like they were wonderful places to visit. That sounds ... Vextari began, then stopped. He did not know how to finish the sentence. Terrifying, deadly, impossible? That sounds educational, he said finally. Great, Professor Martinez said. We will show you the most beautiful parts of Earth. You will love it here. As the humans left them alone for the night, the aliens sat in their reinforced room and tried to process what they had learned. These humans were not prisoners or refugees. They were not hiding from their world. They were living on it, drinking its acid, breathing its poison, and calling it home. Captain, Kailanara whispered, what kind of species evolves to survive in hell? Vextari looked out the window at the alien landscape. In the distance, he could see lights from human cities where millions of these creatures lived their daily lives in conditions that would kill most known species in minutes. I do not. No, he said, but we are about to find out. The next morning, Dr. Susan Clark arrived at the facility with a big smile and a bag full of equipment. She was a marine biologist who studied life in Earth's oceans. Her skin was brown from spending time in the sun, and her hands were covered with small scars from what the aliens would soon learn were normal workplace injuries. Good morning, everyone, she said cheerfully. I brought some photos and videos to show our visitors what I do for work. The aliens sat in their protective suits around a large table. Their environmental systems were working better after the human engineers had fixed them, but they still felt like they were sitting inside a furnace. "I study fish and other sea creatures," Dr. Clark explained. "Most of my work happens underwater, so I spend a lot of time diving in the ocean." She turned on a large screen and showed the first video. The aliens watched in shock as Dr. Clark jumped backward off a boat into the deep blue water. She was wearing only a thin rubber suit and had a tank of air strapped to her back. "This is from last month," she said. "I was diving near the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. The water was about 30 meters deep, and I spent 3 hours down there collecting samples, 30 meters deep." The aliens calculated the pressure at that depth and felt sick. The water would crush their bodies like paper. "The water was so clear and beautiful," Dr. Clark continued. "I saw sharks, rays, and hundreds of colorful fish. It was an amazing day." "Sharks?" Kailanara asked in a weak voice. "Oh yes, we have lots of sharks in our oceans," Dr. Clark said. "They are incredible predators. Some of them are as long as our shuttle and have teeth like knives. I love swimming with them." The alien stared at her in horror. She loved swimming with creatures that could eat her in one bite. "Here is my favorite video," Dr. Clark said. "This is from a dive in the Mariana Trench. I went down 2,000 meters in a special submarine." The screen showed Dr. Clark inside a tiny metal container, surrounded by total darkness and crushing water pressure. She was smiling and pointing at strange creatures outside the submarine windows. "The pressure down there is over 200 times what we have at sea level," she explained. "But the submarine keeps me safe. I have been down there 12 times. It is like visiting another world." Pextor made a choking sound inside his suit. 2,000 meters underwater was deeper than space was high, and this human went there for fun. "That sounds very dangerous," Vextari said. "Not really," Dr. Clark replied. "I mean, you have to be careful and follow safety rules. But I have been diving for 20 years and never had any serious accidents. Well, except for that time I got stung by a jellyfish and had to go to the hospital." The aliens did not want to know what a jellyfish was. Dr. Clark left, and Jake Patterson arrived next. He was a mountain guide who helped people climb the tallest peaks on Earth. His face was weathered from years of extreme cold and wind. His fingers were missing parts from what he called frostbite. "I brought some pictures from my latest climb," Jake said. "We just got back from Mount Everest. It took us 6 weeks to reach the top." The screen showed Jake and several other humans climbing up a wall of ice and rock. They were tied to ropes and wore thick clothing, but the aliens could see that they were thousands of meters above the ground. "Mount Everest is 8,848 meters high," Jake explained. "The air up there is so thin that you can barely breathe. The temperature gets down to -40 degrees, and the wind can blow you off the mountain." The aliens listened in stunned silence. Humans climbed mountains where the air was too thin to breathe and the cold could kill them in minutes. "Why do you do this?" Vextari asked. "Because it is there," Jake said with a big smile. "And because it is the ultimate challenge. Every year, hundreds of people try to climb Everest. Some of them die trying, but that just makes it more meaningful. For those who succeed, some of them die trying." The aliens could not believe what they were hearing. Humans deliberately put themselves in situations where death was a real possibility, and they called it meaningful. "Here is a video from the summit," Jake said. "You can see how beautiful the view is from the top." The screen showed Jake standing on a narrow ridge of ice and rock. Below him, the world dropped away into nothingness. Wind howled around him, and his breath came out as clouds of ice. "This is the highest point on Earth," he said in the video. "I am literally on top of the world." The aliens watched as Jake celebrated his achievement by taking pictures and planting a flag. Then he began the dangerous climb back down. "The climb down is actually more dangerous than going up," Jake explained. "You are tired, and it is easy to make mistakes. Plus, the weather can change quickly. We got caught in a blizzard on the way down and had to wait in our tents for 2 days, a blizzard." The aliens had read about Earth's weather patterns, but hearing about them from someone who had survived them was even more terrifying. Jake left, and Kelly Moore arrived next. She was a professional surfer who rode waves for a living. Her skin was deeply tanned, and her hair was bleached white from salt water and sun. "I brought some videos of my latest surfing session," she said. "The waves were perfect yesterday. Some of them were over 15 meters high." The screen showed Kelly standing on a thin board, riding down the face of a wall of water that was taller than most buildings. The wave moved faster than most vehicles, and Kelly balanced on it like it was the most natural thing in the world. "This is what we call a perfect wave," she said. "When everything comes together just right, you feel like you are flying." The aliens watched in amazement as Kelly rode wave after wave. Each one looked like it could crush her, but she danced across them with perfect balance. "What happens if you fall?" Kailanara asked. "You get wiped out?" Kelly said with a laugh. "The wave pushes you down underwater and tosses you around like a toy. Sometimes you do not know which way is up. You just have to stay calm and wait for it to let you go. Stay calm while being crushed by moving water." The aliens were beginning to understand that humans had a very different idea of what it meant to stay calm. "Here's my favorite video," Kelly said. "This is from last year when I surfed during a storm. The waves were over 20 meters high and the wind was blowing at 80 kilometers per hour. The screen showed Kelly riding waves that looked like moving mountains. Rain poured down and lightning flashed in the dark sky. Other humans watched from the beach, cheering and taking pictures. "That looks incredibly dangerous," Pextor said. "It was," Kelly agreed, "but that is what makes it exciting. Anyone can surf small waves. It takes skill and courage to surf in a storm." The aliens were starting to see a pattern. Humans did not just live on their dangerous world. They actively sought out the most dangerous parts of it and turned them into games. Chris Reynolds arrived next with videos of base jumping. He showed the aliens footage of humans jumping off cliffs and buildings, falling through the air at incredible speeds before opening parachutes at the last possible moment. "The key is timing," Chris explained. "You have to wait until the very last second to open your parachute. If you open it too early, you miss the rush. If you open it too late, well, you die." The aliens watched humans leap from heights that would kill them instantly if anything went wrong. And they did it for fun. "Some of my friends have died doing this," Chris said matter-of-factly. "But that is the risk we take. Life is meant to be lived, not just survived. Life is meant to be lived, not just survived." The aliens repeated this phrase to themselves, trying to understand what it meant. Weather forecaster Janet Williams was the last human to visit that day. She showed the alien satellite images of Earth's weather systems. "This is Hurricane Patricia," she said, pointing to a massive spiral of clouds. "It has winds of over 200 kilometers per hour. When it hits land, it will destroy everything in its path." The aliens looked at the storm with terror. It was like a weapon of mass destruction moving across the planet. "What do humans do when this happens?" Vextari asked. "We track it and warn people to get ready," Janet said. "Some people leave the area, but many stay and ride it out. We have built our houses to survive hurricanes, and we have emergency supplies ready." "You stay and fight the storm?" Kailanara asked. "We do not fight it," Janet said. "We just wait for it to pass. Hurricanes are part of life on Earth. We get about 6 big ones every year. You learn to live with them. 6 devastating storms every year, and humans just lived with them." The aliens were beginning to realize that Earth had not created victims. It had created the most resilient species in the galaxy. That night, the aliens sat in their protected room and tried to process what they had learned. Humans did not just survive on their Deathworld. They played on it. They turned its dangers into entertainment and its disasters into challenges to overcome. "These humans are insane," Pextor whispered. "No," Vextari said slowly. "They are something else, something we have never seen before." Outside their window, they could see humans jogging through the darkness, their bodies moving easily under the crushing gravity. In the distance, lights from human cities twinkled like stars, each one representing millions of beings who called this nightmare world home. The aliens were beginning to understand that they had discovered something extraordinary, but they had no idea how extraordinary it really was. On the fourth day of their visit, the aliens were sitting in their safe room, watching human documentaries about something called extreme weather, when the ground began to shake. At first, it was just a small vibration that made their equipment rattle slightly. The aliens looked around nervously, but the humans in the facility seemed to ignore it completely. Then the shaking got stronger. "Warning, seismic activity detected," announced the computer system in their room. Magnitude 4.2 earthquake in progress. The aliens grabbed onto their chairs as the entire building swayed back and forth. Their hearts pounded with terror as they felt the solid ground moving beneath them like a living thing. "Emergency! Emergency!" Kilanara shouted into her communication device. "The planet is attacking us. We need immediate evacuation." But before anyone could respond from their ship, the shaking stopped. The aliens sat in stunned silence, waiting for the ground to split open or the building to collapse. Nothing happened. Moments later, Dr. Amy Johnson knocked on their door and entered with a calm smile. "Sorry about that little shake," she said. "We just had a small earthquake. Nothing to worry about. Is everyone okay in here?" "Nothing to worry about," Pextor gasped. "The entire planet just tried to kill us." Dr. Johnson looked confused. "Oh, that was just a baby earthquake. Maybe a 4.0 or 4.5 on the Richter scale. We barely felt it. I was in the lab and only noticed because my coffee cup rattled a little." The alien stared at her in disbelief. She had barely noticed that the ground was moving. "Earthquakes happen all the time here," Dr. Johnson explained. "Colorado gets about 300 small earthquakes every year. Most of them are so small that only our instruments can detect them." 300 earthquakes every year. The aliens could not imagine living in a place where the ground moved that often. "The really big ones are more exciting," Dr. Johnson continued. "We had a 5.3 earthquake last year that knocked some books off shelves and cracked a few windows. Everyone was talking about it for weeks." Before the aliens could respond, the shaking started again. This time it was much stronger. The building swayed violently from side to side. Pictures fell off the walls and the lights flickered. The aliens screamed and held on to each other as their world turned into chaos. But outside their room, they could hear human voices talking calmly. "This is a big one," someone said. "Probably a 6.5 or 6.8. "Everyone stay calm," called another voice. "Standard earthquake procedures. Stay away from windows and wait for it to stop." The shaking continued for what felt like hours but was probably only 2 minutes. When it finally ended, the aliens were huddled together in the corner of their room, shaking with fear. The door opened, and Lieutenant Colonel Dan Foster entered. He was a military officer who coordinated emergency responses for the region. He looked completely calm and in control. "Is everyone safe in here?" he asked. "We need to do a quick building inspection, but it looks like everything held up fine." "Held up fine?" Vextari managed to say. "The entire world just tried to destroy itself." "Oh, that was a good one," Don said with interest. "Probably about a 6.8. We do not get earthquakes that big very often around here. The epicenter was about 50 kilometers south of us." He spoke into a radio device. "All units, this is Foster. Begin standard earthquake response procedures. Check all buildings and report any damage." The aliens listened in amazement as voices responded over the radio. They were calm, professional, and efficient. No one sounded panicked or scared. "Roger. That, Colonel," came one voice. "Fire Department Team 3 is checking the school buildings now. No visible damage so far." "Police units are checking the roads," said another voice. "We have some small rock slides on Highway 24, but nothing major." "Hospital reports no damage," came a third voice. "All emergency systems are working normally." The humans had procedures for when the planet tried to kill them. They had practiced for this. Maria Santos arrived next. She was a paramedic who worked with the emergency response team. She carried a bag full of medical supplies and had a radio clipped to her shoulder. Any injuries in here? She asked. We are checking on everyone in the facility. We are terrified. But not injured, Kailanara said. Good, Maria said. We have a few minor injuries from people who fell or got hit by falling objects, but nothing serious. This could have been much worse. Much worse? Pextor asked. Sure, Maria said. If this had been an 8.0 earthquake, we might have had some real problems. Buildings could have collapsed, roads could have been damaged. We are lucky it was only a 6.8. Only. A 6.8. The aliens realized that humans had a scale for measuring planetary disasters, and this one was considered small. I have been a paramedic for 15 years, Maria continued. I have worked during earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, forest fires, and blizzards. You learn to stay calm and do your job. The aliens watched through their window as humans began working outside. Construction worker Tony Rodriguez was already examining the building's foundation with engineering tools. His movements were quick and confident. The building is solid, Tony called to engineer Patricia Kim, who was checking the electrical systems. Just some minor cracks in the parking lot. Nothing structural. Patricia Kim nodded and made notes on her tablet. All systems are green, she said. Water, power, communications, everything is working normally. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. Less than an hour after the planet had tried to destroy everything, humans were already fixing the damage and making sure everything worked properly. Dr. Helen Grant arrived with a team of geologists. She was an expert on earthquakes who studied how the Earth's surface moved and changed. She seemed excited rather than scared. What a fantastic earthquake, she said to the aliens. We got excellent readings from our instruments. This will give us great data about the fault lines in this region. You study earthquakes? Vextari asked. Of course, Dr. Grant said. Earth's crust is always moving. We have about 500,000 earthquakes every year around the world. Most of them are too small to feel, but we get several big ones annually. 500,000 earthquakes every year. The aliens felt faint. Here, let me show you something interesting, Dr. Grant said. She pulled out a tablet computer and showed them a map covered with colored dots. Each dot represents an earthquake that happened in the last 24 hours, she explained. See, there were 47 earthquakes around the world just today. Most people never knew they happened. The aliens stared at the map. The entire planet was covered with dots. Earth was constantly shaking and humans just lived with it. We have early warning systems now, Dr. Grant continued. Our computers can detect an earthquake and warn people seconds before the shaking starts. It is not much time, but it helps. How do you live like this? Kailanara asked. How do you sleep at night knowing the ground might start moving? Dr. Grant looked surprised by the question. The same way you sleep knowing that your star might have a solar flare, or an asteroid might hit your planet, or your atmosphere might change? You cannot control everything, so you prepare for what you can and accept what you cannot. She pointed out the window at the human workers. We build our buildings to survive earthquakes. We practice emergency procedures. We have supplies ready, in case something bad happens. But we do not let fear stop us from living our lives. The aliens watched as more humans arrived to help with the response. Volunteers brought food and water for the emergency workers. Children helped their parents clean up broken glass. Everyone worked together without being asked. This is what humans do, Dr. Grant said. When disaster strikes, we help each other. We have been dealing with earthquakes for thousands of years. They are just part of life on Earth. Just part of life on Earth? The aliens realized that humans did not see disasters as unusual events. They saw them as normal parts of living on their world. In Japan, they have earthquakes almost every day, Dr. Grant continued. In California, they have big ones every few years. In Turkey and Chile, the ground shakes regularly. Billions of humans live in earthquake zones and just go about their daily lives. The aliens watched a group of human children playing in the schoolyard nearby. They were laughing and running around as if nothing had happened. One little girl was drawing pictures of the earthquake with colored pencils, making it look like a rainbow. She is not scared? Pextor asked. Why would she be scared? Dr. Grant replied. Earthquakes are exciting. When I was her age, I loved earthquakes. They made me want to become a geologist so I could study them. A disaster that would destroy most civilizations had inspired a human child to become a scientist. As the day continued, the aliens watched the humans complete their earthquake. Response. Every building was checked, every system was tested, and every person was accounted for. Within 6 hours, life had returned to normal. That evening, the humans held what they called a community meeting to discuss the earthquake. Families gathered in the facility's main hall to share their experiences and make sure everyone was okay. That was a good shake, said one elderly man. Reminded me of the big one we had in 1989. My grandmother told me about the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, said a young woman. She said it was much bigger than today's quake. The humans talked about earthquakes like they were old friends. They shared stories, compared experiences. 3 weeks later, Captain Vextari stood before the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council. Representatives from 847 different worlds filled the massive chamber, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. Some floated in tanks of liquid, others sat in specialized atmospheric bubbles, and many wore environmental suits similar to what the Zephyrians had needed on Earth. The chamber fell silent as Vextari activated the holographic display. Images of Earth appeared in the center of the room, showing the blue and green world that had changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about life. Honored representatives, Vextari began, I stand before you today to present the most important discovery in galactic history. We have found a species that will change everything we understand about survival, adaptation, and the nature of life itself. Murmurs filled the chamber. Many of the representatives had already heard rumors about the humans, but few believed the stories could be true. This is the planet called Earth, Vextari continued. According to our classification system, it is a Class 7 Deathworld. The atmospheric composition alone should prevent any intelligent life from evolving. The gravity is crushing, the weather is violent, and the surface is constantly changing due to tectonic activity. The hologram showed scenes from Earth, hurricanes spinning across oceans, earthquakes shaking mountains, and volcanoes spewing lava into the sky. The assembled representatives watched in horror. Yet on this world, Vextari said, we found not just life, but a thriving civilization of nearly 8 billion individuals. They call themselves humans, and they are unlike anything we have ever encountered. The display changed to show humans going about their daily lives. Children playing in parks, adults working in cities, families gathering for meals. To most species in the galaxy, these scenes look like acts of incredible bravery. The humans do not hide from their world's dangers, Vextari explained. They embrace them. They have turned survival into an art form and adversity into opportunity. Ambassador Lisa Carter stepped forward to address the assembly. She wore a simple blue dress and smiled warmly at the gathering of alien beings. Many of the representatives had never seen a human before, and they stared at her with a mixture of fear and fascination. Hello, everyone, Lisa said. My name is Lisa Carter, and I represent the people of Earth. We are honored to be here today and excited to meet all of you. Her calm confidence impressed the assembly. Here was a being from a death world, speaking as if she belonged among the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. I know our world seems dangerous to many of you, Lisa continued. But to us, Earth is home. It is beautiful, challenging, and full of wonder. Yes, it can be harsh, but that harshness has taught us valuable lessons. The hologram showed images of human achievements. Cities that could withstand earthquakes, ships that could survive hurricanes, and explorers who ventured into the deepest oceans and highest mountains. We have learned to work together, Lisa said. When disaster strikes, humans help each other. We share resources, knowledge, and hope. Our world has taught us that cooperation is the key to survival. Representative Cartela from the Peaceful Hegemony spoke first. Her species came from a world where the temperature never changed and nothing dangerous ever happened. Ambassador Carter, she said, we have reviewed the reports about your species' recreational activities. Is it true that humans voluntarily put themselves in mortal danger for entertainment? Well, yes, Lisa said with a smile. We call them extreme sports: rock climbing, surfing, skydiving, mountain climbing. These activities help us test our limits and build confidence. The representatives looked at each other in amazement. Number. Known species deliberately sought out danger for fun, but why? Asked Representative Nemdoc from the Cautious Alliance. Why risk death for pleasure? Because facing our fears makes us stronger, Lisa explained. When you know you can survive a mountain climb or a storm at sea, everyday problems seem easier. To handle, challenge builds character. Admiral Zixfin from the military coalition leaned forward in his hoverchair. His species had the most advanced weapons in the galaxy, but they had never needed to use them. Ambassador Carter, he said, what would humans do if faced with a galactic threat? An invasion or natural disaster that affected multiple worlds? Lisa thought for a moment. We would do what we always do. We would work together to solve the problem. We would adapt, improvise, and never give up. That is what Earth taught us. But what if the threat was bigger than anything you had faced before? Admiral Zixfin pressed. Then we would face something bigger than anything we had faced before, Lisa said simply. That is what life is about. You meet each challenge as it comes. Dr. Kevin Brooks joined Lisa at the speaking platform. He activated a new set of holograms showing human technology and achievements. Humans have developed technology specifically because of our world's dangers, he explained. We build earthquake-resistant buildings because we have earthquakes. We create storm tracking systems because we have hurricanes. We design submarines because we wanted to explore our crushing ocean depths. The display showed human emergency response systems in action. Teams working together during disasters, sharing resources across continents, and rebuilding after destruction. Every challenge Earth gave us made us more capable, Dr. Brooks continued. We learned to think quickly, adapt constantly, and never assume that today will be the same as yesterday. Representative Velinara from the Stable Worlds Confederation asked the question many were thinking. Dr. Brooks, your species sounds remarkable, but what can you offer the galaxy? What can beings from a Deathworld contribute to advanced civilizations? Dr. Brooks and Lisa looked at each other and smiled. We can offer you something no other species has, Lisa said. We can offer you hope when everything seems impossible. We can offer you solutions when problems seem unsolvable. We can offer you the will to keep fighting when others would give up. The hologram changed to show a simulation that made many representatives gasp in fear. It depicted a massive asteroid heading toward a populated world, solar flares threatening to destroy entire systems and other cosmic disasters. These are the kinds of threats that could face the galaxy, Dr. Brooks explained. Threats that would require quick thinking, rapid adaptation, and the willingness to take risks to save lives. When that day comes, Lisa added, you will want humans on your side. Not because we are the smartest or the strongest, but because we never learned how to quit. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives talked among themselves. Some were excited by the possibilities, others were worried about the implications of having such an unpredictable species in the galaxy. High Chancellor Morvith, the leader of the Galactic Council, called for order. His ancient species had guided galactic civilization for thousands of years. The Council will consider this proposal, he announced. But first, we must understand something. Ambassador Carter, if humanity joins the Galactic Council, what would you want in return? Lisa thought carefully before answering. We want to learn from you. We want to share our knowledge and experiences. And we want to help protect the galaxy from whatever dangers might come. You do not want technology or resources? High Chancellor Morvith asked, surprised. Those things would be nice, Lisa said, but what we really want is partnership. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Earth taught us that survival is easier when everyone works together. The vote was closer than many expected, but in the end, humanity was accepted into the Galactic Council. Not as refugees from a hostile world, but as the galaxy's designated emergency response specialists. Within months, human advisors were helping other worlds prepare for natural disasters. Human engineers were designing better emergency systems. Human explorers were mapping dangerous regions of space that other species feared to enter when the Andromedan crisis erupted 2 years later. Threatening to destroy several star systems, it was human ships that led the rescue missions. When the quantum storm appeared near the galactic core, human scientists worked with alien researchers to find solutions that seemed impossible. Earth's most dangerous children had become the galaxy's most valuable protectors. Captain Vextari returned to Earth many times over the following years. He watched as human cities grew larger and more diverse, welcoming visitors from hundreds of worlds. He saw human children playing with alien students, learning that the universe was vast and full of friends, but Earth remained Earth. Earthquakes still shook the ground, storms still raged across the oceans, and humans still climbed mountains and dove into deep waters for fun. The planet that had created the galaxy's greatest survivors continued to test and strengthen each new generation. Standing in the same facility where he had first met humans, Vextari watched a group of children from a dozen different worlds learning about earthquake safety from a human teacher. They laughed and asked questions about living on a world that moved beneath their feet. "It must be terrifying," said a young Zephyrian student. "Not really," replied a human girl about the same age. "It is just home. And home is where you learn to be strong." Vextari smiled as he realized the truth that would reshape the galaxy. Earth had not created victims or survivors. It had created teachers, protectors,